What's up, everyone? It's your boy Panda Daddy, and yesterday I posted a poll on what everybody wanted to watch today, and clearly this is not Quit Your Bullshit, and the reason why is because I really want to make that video special. I found some awesome posts, and I know you guys are going to like that video, so I'm taking my time on it. I want to make it perfect, put all the memes and content and my thoughts. Everything needs to be right about that video. I didn't want to post it today. It was done today, but I was like, something's not right about it. Anyway, to make it up to you guys, I made sure today's installment of r/LetsNotMeet was long, spoopy, and enjoyable. So if you're eating, sleeping, drinking, chilling with your pet, or just wanting to listen to your favorite panda boy, I hope you enjoy today's video. I'm bad at reading red flags. This first started when I went to summer camp in my junior high of high school and I met this girl. Her name is Mar. I introduced myself to Mar, and the rest of the 6 weeks I probably talked to her for a total of 3 times, which includes my introduction, the time she locked me and my friend into a room, and when I said goodbye when the camp ended. She seemed really nice, and I thought she was extremely sweet. Fast forward a year, I get a text out of nowhere saying, "Hey, I missed you, it's me, Mar." And we continued to text, catching up on our lives, and at the time I thought this was normal, as I usually get texts from people from that camp trying to catch up, and it's actually really nice hearing where they are in life. About 9 texts in after catching up on our lives, she suddenly asks, "Will you go to prom with me?" I dismissed it as a strange question because I thought she was probably desperate to get a prom date, and me being about an hour drive away, that was a good distance. She lets me know the date of her prom, which I realize is the day after my prom and the day before one of my concerts of an orchestra I was in at the time. I let her know of my situation, but she continues to try to convince me to go. Every day after, she continues to text me multiple times asking if I could go, saying that I had time to go and that I should do it for her. I said yes in the end. I felt like she really wanted a date for prom for the experience, and I thought, you know, why not? I would want the same if I were in the same situation. What could go wrong? 3 days later, I'm playing some games on my PC, and at the time, I hear my older sister yell the weirdest thing downstairs. "Your girl is here!" Confused, I go to the window of my room, and what do you know? Mar is standing right in my driveway, smiling and waving at me. Sure, most people would think, oh my god, how did she find my address? How did she know I'm free? What the fuck? My dumbass instantly thought, oh shit, she drove an hour here, I feel kind of bad. I head outside to meet her and ask her why she's here, and the first thing she said was, "I drove an hour here, you should take me on a date." Behind me is my dad approvingly shaking his head, and before I can say anything, he tells me to go. The man had such a proud look on his face, and that's when I started to realize maybe this situation is kinda bad. Maybe. I take her out to a Chinese restaurant and decide to order 3 plates of food for myself. I realized that maybe if I kept eating, I could decrease the time I had to talk since I was chewing 75% of the time. To start off, she tells stories about all the guys she ever went after and were taken by people she knew. She increasingly got mad as she kept talking to the point where people started to look. Suddenly she asked about me and my relationship with this girl that I had a thing with a few months back. In my head again, I think this is fine. She probably knows about that because she's friends with her. Friends that probably told her. I explain my situation about how I don't talk about the girl anymore, and Mar suddenly gets a flare in her eye. She asks me what I plan to do from the time I go to college and if I'm interested in dating. I tell her that I don't plan to do anything until college, and after a few more places we go, she said that she wouldn't leave until she was satisfied with her time here. I go back to my home, and I guess we decide to play games on my Wii. After a solid game of Smash 4, she realizes that I'm not having fun and says, "I guess you're kicking me out," and then proceeds to try and kiss me. Out of panic, I put my entire right hand on her face, pushing her away, basically slapping her and giving her a face palm. I lead her out of my house and to her car, and once she gets in, she starts to take pictures of me on her Snapchat story with the caption, "First date." I tell my parents about the situation, and I swear to God, they literally brush it away saying that, "Oh, people can be like that, and you should be happy a girl likes you." My sister slowly figures out that maybe this isn't good, but agrees with my parents because she thought it'd be funny to see how this went. 2 weeks of dodging her texts, of her asking to come over again, I'm heading to her pre-prom party. I'm completely exhausted to the point where I could not run, and I was just not ready for another prom. Surprisingly, the pre-prom party and the prom was a lot of fun. Mar didn't do anything that made me feel uncomfortable, and her friends were amazingly funny. After prom, she takes me back to her friend's house, and then she asks me if I can stay the night, which I say I can't due to my concert that I have the day after. She then proceeds to get very angry and tries to push for it, so I text my sister help, and for the first goddamn time, she comes to my rescue. And an hour later, as Mar's getting increasingly madder, I get a call from my sister saying that she's outside. I let M know, and I leave. so relieved that my day of prom with her was over. A few months later, I get an anonymous letter in the mail addressed to me. Inside were 3 pages, filled front and back with a declaration of love from M. It explained how she fell in love with me in first sight, and how everything I did made her love me even more, how she couldn't be without me. I met up with a friend a few days later, and he shows me a Snapchat conversation with her. It's just a wall of text, a wall of questions asking personal questions about me. For the next year, while I was in college, I would get random texts and Snapchats from her showing pictures of her coming to my town, asking where I was. There were times she would go to my town's high school games and send me pictures of our coaches with jackets and the name of my town on there. Eventually, she stopped messaging me because I blocked her on everything. So, yeah, let's not meet ever again, please. Gay best friend gone wrong. I've been a big fan of r/LetsNotMeet for a while, and always thought this story that happened to be when I started university would fit in. My first day moving into the student halls, I was greeted by a very friendly guy named Dominic. He was very camp and obviously gay, but I didn't have a problem with that. He offered to help me unpack my room, then go for a drink with me. Although I thought it was a little overfamiliar, I was delighted that he had made me feel like a friend so quickly, and I accepted his offer. He put a tremendous amount of effort in helping me put everything in the appropriate places in my room. We then went for a drink at the student bar. I made a point to tell him that I was straight, as I suspected that he might have a bit of a crush on me, hence why he was being so nice. However, he didn't show any signs of dismay, and just continued chatting with me. I liked him a lot. He was very intelligent and interesting to talk to, and I was very pleased that I had a new friend already. I was worried that I'd be lonely in the uni dorms. He didn't live in the same building as me. He lived across, and I was studying creative writing and he was studying business, but we started to hang out a lot. Although I liked Dominic, I did start to find him a little overbearing. He would send me texts and message me on Facebook all the time, and would get upset if I didn't reply, even if it was only for about 5 minutes. He would always want to know what I was doing, and if I disappeared off of Facebook for a while, he would want to know where I'd been all day. One time, I even sent him a text mentioning that I was on a train, and he texted back, "Why are you on a train? Why am I not invited to wherever you're going?" I was on my way to a part-time job. I made quite a few other friends, and he would always tell me he disliked them and that I shouldn't trust them. He was very possessive, and I personally can't stand for clingy friends, so I tried to distance myself from him for a bit, but the more I pulled away, the tighter he held. I still hung out with him and cared about him, but I was starting to worry about where this friendship was going. I was pretty sure this guy had a crush on me, and soon my suspicions were confirmed. I met this girl at a party I went to called Anna and asked her out on a date. She accepted, and I was really thrilled, and I told Dominic about it, and the second I told him, his face fell. "Why are you going on a date with her?" he asked me, sounding very worried. 'Cause I want to?" "But I'm going to be jealous," he said. "Please don't go. It'll really hurt me. You wouldn't want to hurt me. I'm your best friend." I never actually told him he was my best friend before, and I found the way that he was acting both annoying and a little creepy. "I'm sorry, but I told you I was straight before, Dominic. We can still be friends, but I'm not going to stop dating just for you." He remained sulky and miserable for the rest of the night. I told myself that he'd had to accept it and get over it soon. But when I was on the date with Anna, I kept getting phone calls from unknown numbers. I answered at first, but I couldn't hear anything on the other end. It was though someone was listening. I started to ignore the calls, but you would not believe how frequently they were coming in. They were coming in non-stop, and I couldn't even tell the time because they seriously would not stop. I had to put my phone on airplane mode. After about an hour of my phone on airplane mode, I switched the airplane mode off, but the very second I did, the calls came again. Although I was unnerved, I enjoyed the date with Anna, and we agreed to meet up again. When I got home from the date, Dominic was waiting right outside my dorm with his phone in his hand. "So, how was your date? Did you like her?" "Yeah, I do. And was that you who kept calling me?" "No," he said, but he was obviously lying. "But anyway, I've been waiting here to tell you. I hear Anna's a massive slut. She sleeps around with loads of guys. You should stay away. She'll break your heart." Anna had no mutual connections with Dominic, so I asked him how he could possibly know about this. He just told me he'd done his research. I was angered and told him it was none of his business and that I'd find out for myself. He started crying, saying that he was just worried about me, and stormed off. I think he was hoping I'd follow him, but I didn't. I went to my room, angry that he would try to interfere with my life like this. I have had unrequited crushes on friends before, but they don't feel the same. I never tried to force it, but Dominic only got worse. When I got back to my student dorm, Dominic had sent me screenshots on Facebook of a conversation he had allegedly had with Anna. The message showed her boasting to him about how she was going to use me and how she was planning to break my heart. Obviously, this didn't ring at all true. One, how would she even know who Dominic was, and why would she message him? And two, why would she tell a friend of mine so openly of what her plans were for me when he would obviously show me? I demanded that he show me the conversation from Anna on his computer screen with me right there. But he told me that he deleted the conversation because they were too upsetting for him. I knew right then and there that Dominic was deliberately trying to ruin my relationship with Anna through incredibly deceitful and despicable means, and I told him that I wasn't interested in him, that I never would be, and that he better stop right now. He told me that I was being a terrible friend, and that all he was doing was trying to look out for me, and that he couldn't believe I was believing a stranger over him. I was seriously pissed off with the way he was selfishly trying to manipulate me, and I blocked him on social media. He started sending me constant texts and calling me nonstop every day, telling me things that he was depressed over me, and he started taking heroin, and that he was contemplating suicide, basically trying to make me worry. He would also constantly send me texts saying that he knew Anna was cheating on me and her were dating properly, and that I had to come to my senses. He was creeping me out so much that I went to stay with my parents for a bit because I wasn't comfortable living in the same area as him. I had to block his number because his phone calls were so constant. People from my uni dorm were sending me angry messages because Dominic had told them a really twisted version of what was going on, making them think that Anna was a dirty, STD-ridden whore who I betrayed him for. It then turned out that he'd been lying to everyone, telling them that me and him were in a romantic, sexual relationship and that I had cheated on him with Anna, then left him for her. I furiously set everyone straight, told them that I'd never been in a relationship with Dominic and everything he told them about Anna was bullshit. Most people believed me, although it took a while to convince everyone that Dominic was a liar. He was very manipulative, and although a lot of his lies were ludicrous, he was very good at making himself sound legit. I decided to go back to my uni dorm after a while, as it was inconvenient for me to stay at my parents' house while at uni. Their house was very far away from it. I arrived back there quite late, as I really didn't want to run into Dominic. I was so angry about him. I had a new girlfriend and studies to think about, yet of his fucking obsession and harassment, he was now all I could think about. In a very twisted way, I think this is what he wanted, positively or negatively. He wanted me thinking about him. When I got back, I just lay down on my bed, thinking about what to do, when suddenly a fucking brick came flying through my window! I jumped a mile and rolled over to the side of my bed, hiding there for a moment, thinking it was burglars coming in or something, I don't know, but nothing more happened. Once I got over the shock, I cautiously stepped over the broken glass and tried to look out the window, when I got a phone call off of a number I didn't recognize. I answered it, and it was Dominic, and you will not believe what he said. "Oh my god, I just saw Anna throw a brick through your window and run. I told you she was bad news, and you should have listened to me. I told you." You would not believe the rage I felt. I was so angry I couldn't even speak for a moment. But then I just exploded. I screamed at him that I knew it was him, and I was calling the police right now. He tried to protest, but I hung up on him, and I immediately called them, and when they arrived, Dominic was not in his room. But when it was opened up, a large stash of illegal drugs was found there. The manager of my student halls assured me that he'd be kicked out for this, and the police said that they would be getting in touch with him. After this, I never saw Dominic again. I changed my phone number and never unblocked him on social media. A couple of times I was tempted out of sheer curiosity, but I decided it wasn't worth it. I think he dropped out of uni, but I don't know exactly what happened to him. My relationship with Anna didn't last, and she was never quite clear on why she ended it. But I actually suspect that Dominic's freakish behavior scared her off, even though it really wasn't my fault. Well, life goes on. Dominic, I hope whatever issues you're going through, you sort them out, and I hope you find a guy who actually does want to be with you, but please, let's not meet again. A pickup truck in the darkness. Surprisingly, this must have had an impact on me more than I thought or realized, because it seems the older I get, the more I revisit this night in my head. I was 17 and this was the 90s. No one had cell phones, the internet was in its infancy, and we were all just grasping email and browsing on the net. Back when I was 17, the world was mostly unplugged. We didn't have countless options at our fingertips, and I'm not even sure that was a good thing or a bad thing. It's just a different thing. I remember this night because it was a school night, and my parents had to spend the night at my grandma's house because they needed to be up early in the town she lived in. They never offered to take me, and I didn't want to go because I enjoyed being home alone, having a little privacy. I'm a night owl, that's what I am, and that's what I've always been. Come midnight, I'm just getting started. I was on the family computer in a random Yahoo chat room, which was in the office, and the window outlooks our backyard. It was past midnight, and for some reason, it had just dawned on me that I've been hearing crunchy snow footsteps in the snow in our backyard. And I didn't get scared, I didn't even really get curious, I just acknowledged the sound of the footsteps coming from my backyard. I didn't know why this didn't bother me, maybe I was just being naive. So, the noise continued, but I didn't pay attention to it much. Maybe I thought it was a wild animal? We lived right next to the woods. About a half hour later, I was in the kitchen heating up some leftovers, nothing better than a midnight snack, and I just happened to glance in the direction of the living room. And I saw some movement out the living room picture window. I halted in the kitchen, and I stared hard across the living room, out the window to that brief movement, which caught my attention. It took me a second to focus, and when I did, what I saw, it was at this point, I started to get nervous. I saw a pickup truck with its headlights on creeping down the road directly in front of my house. It came painfully slow, stopped directly in front of my house. The pickup truck, had I not managed to see its movement, would have blended perfectly into the darkness. The truck freaked me out bad. I was pretty sure the driver probably couldn't see me from the vantage point in the kitchen. All the living room lights were off. Our kitchen and living room go into each other. They connect. I walk out the kitchen into the living room, leave the living room for the kitchen. Either way, I stood in the kitchen and just stared at the parked truck. My mind was racing. What was going on? It was like 2 a.m. and there was a pickup truck parked in front of my house? It was driving down a road with headlights off. That really messed with my head, so I stood there, convinced I could not be seen, in doubt I was spotted, but I could not move a muscle. I was terrified. I stared at the black shape of the pickup truck, and I tried to focus on the driver. It was just too dark, and then I thought maybe I should call my parents or the police. I didn't want to get anyone worried, and I was really in a state of panic. I counted 3 in my head and I bolted to the phone hanging on the kitchen wall. I just felt safer holding the phone. I thought about calling my grandmother's house to get my dad on the phone, and then I felt maybe I should just call the cops, have them stop by and see what's up with the creepy truck. I didn't call anyone. Instead, I just inched, taking these slow steps of fear towards the spot in the kitchen where I could see out the living room picture window. I watched the truck for a few minutes, waiting to see what the driver's next move was going to be. I was trying to convince myself that the driver was creeping around my house well past midnight. Was just a strange coincidence or something. I just stared at the black spot. I knew it was a pickup, and I couldn't make any sense of it. Eventually, after 10 or 20 minutes being parked in front of my house, the truck did a 3-point turn, headlights off, and drove away. I clung to the phone. I was shaken pretty badly, but I was glad that I didn't call the police or my parents. No need to get everyone worried. I knew sleep was not an option, so I turned on the lights, all the lights, to feel more comfortable. I turned on the TV in the living room and put on my favorite movie at the time, Dazed and Confused. I had a copy of Dazed and Confused recorded on a VHS tape with Happy Gilmore. Then, the next morning, I discovered footprints in the snow around my house. I couldn't tell you if there was 1, 2, or 3 sets of footprints. There were just a lot of footprints. My parents have a door in their bedroom that goes to the backyard. I had completely forgot that my dad broke the door trying to change the doorknob. It happened a few days prior to the night my parents stayed at my grandmother's. My dad tends to start projects and stall out if it doesn't go his way. Once he runs into any trouble with his projects, my old man is quick to put it on the back burner. That's what he did with the door. I was thankful for a couple of things. First, I was happy that the sound of the footsteps in the snowy backyard crunching all over the place didn't freak me out to begin with. That would really kicked off some pure terror. It's hard to explain what went on my head when I realized someone or something was tromping around the house. I can't explain why that didn't panic me. I mean, someone was in our backyard past midnight. I was also thankful that I'd forgotten about the broken door. It didn't even cross my mind, but I had gotten freaked out by the footsteps that I could hear in the backyard. Undoubtedly in my mind would go apeshit crazy knowing my parents' door was broken and was unlocked for anyone to come in. I would have called the police. When I found the footprints the following morning, I followed the path of prints around my house. And part of me wonders if they did get into the house. The footprints went right to my parents' back door, but I couldn't tell if the door was opened, or if someone had walked into my house. Nothing was missing, and nothing was vandalized. It was just a weird night that still scares the living shit out of me. What's up everybody, it's your boy Ailurus, and I hope you enjoyed today's video, and if you did, let me know in the comments down below, and also let me know if you want more video game like footage in the background with these non-commentary videos. It was just a little bit of an experiment. I want to see if you guys like that or not. Let me know in the comments down below. Also, if you're new to my channel, go ahead and subscribe, fam. What you doing watching content and not subscribing? Make sure you hit that bell too so you can get my future and past content. And thanks again to all my Patreon supporters. That is Maria, Pro Cookie, Tatooey, Catherine, Simon Possum, Annie, The Caustic, and Haley. Thank you so much for supporting me. Your support helps me do what I love. And as always, stay zesty.